Council, Monday, June 7th, 2021 at 7 p.m. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, everybody all rise. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay. So moving on. Number 3 item on the agenda is consent agenda. Item A, council minutes, May 3rd, 2021. Item B, approval of claims totaling $96,244.24. Includes electronic checks 2775E through 2777E and paper checks 136773 through 136832. Item C, follow-up city administrator's annual performance review. Item D, approve preliminary and final plat of White Birch Village CIC plat of phase 3. And item E, fire department activity report of May 2021. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
So moved.
I have a first from Councilmember Miller. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilmember Maroney. Any further discussion from the council on this? Hearing none, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to item 4 in the agenda, which is open forum. Is there anybody that wishes to address the Breezy City Council in open forum at this point?
Okay. My name's Frank Tanzar. I live on Perch Run, and I'm here. I'll keep it real brief. I came in response to that discussion on Nextdoor about the golf carts. And I just wanted to comment, I had a discussion with the city manager, and he said, well, we can't stop people because they look young. And, I haven't ever called the police or reported, so maybe I'm part of the problem too. But I see almost on a daily basis people who are less than 10 years old driving golf carts. It's a real issue. One of the bigger issues I see is these young people on Dove Street seem to like to stop at the top of a hill. So if you have to go by them, you have to go by them blind. So that's just an example of what's going on. The other item I wanted to mention that's probably even a little worse are the ATVs, where I have actually escorted a 10-year-old kid home who was going 50 miles an hour around the circle. So that's just only comments. I think it's an issue we need to address. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wish to address the Breezy City Council at this time? All right, hearing none, open forum is closed. Moving on to item 5 on the agenda, Mayor and City Council reports and committee reports. Item 5A, Mayor. I would like to report to the council and to the rest that we did have another meeting with the city of Pequot Lakes on May 21st. We met actually with the mayor and the city administrator again. The city administrator and I did. And we spoke again about our fire contract with them and also options and opportunities for us to work together with the city of Pequot Lakes. At the conclusion of that meeting, the mayor and the city administrator both stated to our administrator and myself that they would like to see us put together a proposal to present to the city of Pequot Lakes with the idea of being a joint fire department. So the city staff and city administrator in particular will be working to draft a proposal to submit to them to be able to take back to their city council. And so that's where we're at this point. The discussion was very good. They're open to the idea of a joint fire department, but would like to see just exactly what we have with regards to a proposal. So that's where we're at this point with the piece working with Pequot Lakes and the fire department. We did make it clear to them again that if we are unable to come to something, that if we have to, we would have to give notice this fall in order to be able to start looking at potentially other opportunities to provide fire services to the city of Breezy Point. And they were very much aware of that. So I don't know if Patrick has anything to add to that beyond it, but that's kind of what I have in regards to that at this time. Patrick, do you have anything to add?
No additional comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, we're going to move off into item 5B, which is our different committees that have met. We had quite a few. I'm actually going to start off with Councilmember Bakken. We're going to move the Personnel Committee down to the last report to go along with the Road Committee. But we'll start off with Parks Committee, Cemetery Committee, and Citizen of the Year Committee. And Councilmember Bakken, since you sit on all three of those, I'm going to turn it over to you. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Short and sweet. I'll get most of that out of the way for the folks here. Parks Committee is done their job, and we're waiting on the new stuff and the new buildings to be installed. Cemetery Committee, it's status quo. Everything's fine. Grass is dry out there. And they're working on that. As far as Citizen of the Year goes, this is a program that's been reinstated by yours truly. It was a yearly recognition of people who work very hard in this city, volunteering their time. And the last person to get that award was Mike Landecker, who was on the board or the chair of the group I set up to build that cemetery we have out there. So I'm glad to see it back on. You can send in your nominations through the end of June, and it will be announced, I think, Patrick, at the end of the year. Am I right?
No, you asked that it be awarded at the, nominations will be accepted till the end of this month, and then the award will be given and announced at the butterfly release.
Butterfly release. Yes. Thank you. And I lost my notes. You saved me. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
And right in the minutes and the notes, it says July 17th that is.
know.
And if I can add one thing to the part?
Yes, sir.
So I did call today, or did email, and received a written response that they're pushing back the delivery and install to sometime around July 4th. And so again, our critical response is we are not taking out the playground equipment until they deliver it. And it is off by a month, but they're saying it's due to the whole COVID and supplies and everything else that's being out there. So that's all I had then, sir.
Thank you. Nothing else?
All right. Thank you very much, Councilmember Bakken, for your reports. Moving on to B5, Community Center Task Force. Councilmember Ball, do you have a report?
Yes, so on May 18th, we held the first Community Center Task Force meeting. There was a great group of individuals who volunteered to be on that task force. There was 19 members from the city of Breezy Point that volunteered to be a part of that task force. So Widseth engineering firm is helping with that feasibility study for the community center. And so we're working through the steps there as far as, you know, what we're going to do, some outreach to the city, some open houses to kind of get a feel for what members of the city would be looking for in a community center. So there was a lot of discussion from the group in that first meeting. We're looking at having the first open house tied to the, I'm going to forget the name of it now, the golf cart rodeo that is towards the end of June. And so we'll have the first open house there and try to gather some feedback. At least that's the plan for now. There'll be a second meeting for the Community Center Task Force on June 15th to kind of continue those discussions.
The other thing, if you could have a motion
Excellent.
to approve each of the members of the community.
So moved.
I'll second the
Did I
motion.
hear a motion to? Okay,
Yes,
so I
sir.
have a first and a second to approve all the members of the committee. All right. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Abstentions? The motion carried. Thank you for the report, Councilmember Ball. Very excited to see that taking place and looking forward to hear more reports from you as we move forward. Moving on then to item 5B6 and actually 5B1. We have the road committee report and the personnel committee report. So Councilmember Maroney, would you care to report on those two, please?
Certainly. So the road committee met in regards to the coalition. This is regards to the Bushman project, upgrading that road. We had an open house regarding that project. We had over 20 individuals come and attend, give feedback. We had, everybody was for the acknowledging that Bushman Road needs to be improved. There was some debate and questions of to what standards, to city standards, or again, we are looking at county standards as well. So there was some good discussion had with that, good feedback given with that. Before Breezy Point, the open house at Breezy Point, they also had it at Pequot Lakes. They had similar attendance, roughly 25 individuals that came and offered feedback. So our next meeting is coming up here, and we're going to kind of tally up what all that feedback has been given in regards to that open house there. Mark, anything to add to that?
Nothing further to add other than it was May 26th that the open house took place.
There we go. Moving on to Personnel Committee, we do have some recommendations in front of you tonight. Go back up. And this is in regards to our hours of work. We are suggesting a modification to this. Currently, right now, for hours worked is actual hours of work. If an employee took sick time or vacation time, those were not considered hours of work. And therefore, if at the end of that pay period or end of that week, if an employee was called in for an emergency response, they were actually not paid overtime. So it's kind of shortchanging the staff in that regard. So we are asking for a modification to the policy, and that is actually stating that hours worked include all actual hours worked, sick time, vacation time, comp time, holiday time. What they work is what they get, and it doesn't matter what they have there. So do we need separate motions on each of these?
No.
No, okay. The second policy change is for employee separation. This is for a sick leave separation. So as it stands is we state that after 15 years of continuous employment, an employee shall be paid out their unused sick leave not to exceed 240 hours. Looking into it further, we came up with a option B, or second item there, that if an employee retires with a minimum of 4 years and are eligible under para, that they would also be paid out on their sick leave up to 240 hours. So both of these items, we're asking for a motion for approval on these. I'm happy to answer any questions if there's any questions on these right now.
So moved. Seems reasonable.
So I have a
My comment.
motion. Okay, so I have a motion from Councilmember Bakken. Do I have a second on these?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a second from Councilmember Maroney to approve both of these changes to the personnel policy. Any further discussion? Councilmember Ball, do you have anything to add in discussion?
No.
Councilmember Miller,
No, sir.
Councilmember Bakken?
No, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Maroney, I think you would be good with what's being proposed, correct?
Yes.
Yes, all right. So here, no further discussion, and I would just add that I think it's a good move. I think we're being fair and giving the employees an equitable opportunity at some of these things, and I'm glad to see that we're making these changes. So kudos to the Personnel Committee again for working on this and bringing this forth. So, so hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I, just as a public service announcement, the June 19th Golf Cart Rodeo is taking place where residents will be able to have their children attend and go through some training with the Breezy Point Police Department, as well as I will be in attendance. Councilmember Maroney will also be in attendance. This will assist some of the golf cart users to follow rules, regulations, and the laws that surround our city with golf cart use.
Thank you, Councilmember Miller, for bringing that up. It's much appreciated.
One question,
Yes.
Mayor.
So I hope everybody attends.
Mayor, I have
Yes.
one question. Rebecca, will you be attending the golf cart
Yes,
rodeo? If you do, part of it is because I have to notice if there's a potential, I just have to notice it. We can tell everybody right now that there's a potential that there may be a quorum of city council members there, but they will not be making any decision or discussing business.
I think that's highly likely, and Gary would may be there as well if we do have the community center task force open house that
May
day.
have it then, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we met that requirement.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're gonna open house for the task force, for the city center?
That's
I will.
planning, but we're
I
going to
gave
talk
you
more
that
about it, I think,
information
on
there.
the
I will
5th.
be there for that part, if I can.
We're good then, Mayor.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Missed
So moving on with the Personnel Committee, Council Member Maroney, do you want to continue on?
Yes,
Or we move down, oh, excuse me,
nope, technically,
Go ahead.
equipment purchases would be next.
yeah, you're right. Okay, thank you. So moving on to item 6 in the agenda under Administrator and Staff Reports. We are going to go to item 6A, approved police department equipment purchases. There were actually 3 different items that were brought to the council to be reviewed and looked at. This is all equipment needed for the police department, new radios. They're also looking at another computer to put in one of their squads. Currently right now, as you saw, they don't have enough to put in all the squads and they have to share back and forth. So this is all purchases that would be done. So basically, after reviewing it, do I have a motion from the council to approve these purchases as set forth by Police Chief Merschman?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a first and a second on the motion. Is there any further discussion on these purchases? Councilmember Maroney, anything to add?
The only thing to clarify is the financials of how we're purchasing these. These are being established under the American Rescue Plan, is where all these items are being purchased from, correct?
That's correct. Officially,
That is correct.
we have not received from the state of Minnesota the rules and procedures and/or the dollar amount that we're going to receive. That's part of the budget hang-up that the state legislature is having right now. But when we do get that information, we do anticipate that each of these items will be allowed to be purchased through the CARES 2 or the APA funding that's been recently approved.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Miller?
No, Councilmember Maroney touched on my exact question regarding the federal funding that was paying for this.
Thank you. Councilmember Ball?
No, sir.
Okay, Councilmember Bakken?
No, sir.
All right. I have nothing more to add to the discussion as well. So without any further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 6A2, succession implementation. So I think now we can turn it back over and we can go from there. Councilmember Maroney, I believe.
Yes, thank you,
City
Mr. Mayor.
Administrator.
We have a number of action items that we're going to be like to discuss and have motions for tonight. And this is in regards to the goals and objectives planning that we had in January, I believe it was. And that is in regards to the succession planning. The current chief, Merschman, has indicated his potential retirement, and so we need to act on what that would look like. So our first item of action, will these all be separate motions or just one?
All one motion.
All one motion. So here's what we have. So first item is for current chief Kevin Merschman to accept a new position of deputy police chief. This is a temporary position that we are going to be utilizing for the advancement and training of the new chief. The second item is to actually approve that job description as attached in our packet for the deputy police chief. The third item is to appoint Brian Sendell to police chief. And the fourth item is to consider the hiring of Nate Peters as a regular full-time police officer paramedic. I know Brian Sendell is here, if we have any questions of him. Also, Nate, if you wouldn't mind standing real quick so we also have our current part-time officer paramedic here as well, Nate. Thank you, Nate. Brian has been with the department since 1999. He was promoted to sergeant in 2010, so he has had a long, withstanding career here at Breezy Point. Chief Merschman, I don't know when he was here. He's been here for 29
30
years?
plus.
30 years. So 30 plus years here with that. And Nate Peters, we're looking for as an effective date for July 18th, 2021 for Nate Peters as an officer paramedic. He's been working for us part-time since September 8th, 2020. Currently worked with North, so obviously he's that paramedic portion. In regards to appointing Sergeant Sandell to chief, we would actually make that retroeffective as of yesterday, making sure that that was correct, Sunday. So if everybody's in favor of that, I would appreciate a motion in those regards.
So moved, it's my pleasure.
I'm going to second it.
So I have a motion to approve all the action items as outlined by Councilmember Maroney. I have a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Miller, anything to discuss?
I think that promoting Brian to the chief of police is a good move. I also believe that hiring Mr. Peters as a full-time officer paramedic is also another good move. I think the council should look at the staffing concerns that the police department in Breezy Point may currently have as an opportunity to add one more full-time officer in the future. Should that be determined to be something that would be beneficial to the community.
Thank you. Councilmember Ball, any discussion?
No, sir, I think it's a great move, so.
I echo what
Councilmember Bakken.
I echo what Councilmember Miller extolled, and I'm happy for them, everybody.
Very good. Councilmember Maroney, did you have anything further to add beyond your comments that you gave?
Nothing more. No, this is great.
Okay. I would just like to say also that I think this is a great move in a lot of different ways. Brian is very deserving of being brought up to the chief's position and looking forward to having him work for us in that capacity. I'm also happy to see that we're having the opportunity to give him a chance to cross-train with our new soon-to-be Deputy Police Chief Merschman. And also great to see Nate moving up into the full-time position too. So I think, again, kudos to the Personnel Committee and all the work that was done in the background on this. And also the fact that this was something that we talked about in our goal and planning session, and we're seeing this come to fruition. So I'm very happy to see this all taking place. So thanks to the Personnel Committee and the staff who worked hard on this to get this all put together. So without any further discussion, all those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carried. The next thing that I would like to do then is if I could have Brian and his wife, and I believe his daughter's there, if you guys would come forward, please. We would like to take this opportunity to have Brian's wife actually
Actually, come right
pin
up to the
his
front.
badge onto him to officially to officially recognize him as the new police chief of the city of Breezy Point, Minnesota. It's all yours, ma'am.
Be careful.
Outstanding. Congratulations, Brian.
Congrats, sir.
Very nice.
Yes. Congratulations. And congratulations to Nate as well for being moved up to full time. All right.
Yes.
Outstanding. Okay, we're going to move on then. Item 6B, approved COVID-19 reduction process. So this is basically, we've now reached a time after a long period of time that back in April 6th of 2020, the city council adopted a resolution declaring a local emergency in response to the COVID-19 outbreak. At this time, those restrictions are now able to be lifted. And I believe it's time for the city of Breezy Point to go and move forth with no longer being in a state of local emergency. So if I could have a motion from the council to lift our local emergency for this. I have a first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second to declare the end of the local emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic in the city of Breezy Point. Is there any further discussion from the council on this?
Long overdue, Mr. Mayor.
Mask burning at the end of the meeting.
All right. All right. Well, hearing no other further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. All right. Item 6C, golf cart bid opening results from June 7, 2021. Patrick, would you care to share some information with the council on this, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. There were 23 bids that were sealed bids that were received. The high bid was from Sean Rowley in the amount of $2,126. I have spoken with him, and he is going to make payment on that. The Chief Sandell will call him in the morning and get that pickup arranged later then. So you would need a motion to accept the high bid.
Okay.
Also move.
Second,
So
Mr.
do I
Mayor.
have, I have a first and a second from Councilmember Maroney and Councilmember Miller to accept this bid. Any further discussion by the council on it? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6D, approved crack ceiling low bid. hopefully the council reviewed this. This is um, a budgeted piece of taking care of our roads here within Breezy Point. I believe the low bid was 15,700, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it was. And so basically, Public Works Director Zierden is asking for a motion to approve this bid so we can go ahead and get those cracks in the road sealed on the roads that were identified. And he listed those in the packet as well. So do I have a motion to approve this?
So move.
Councilmember Maroney as the first. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Miller. Any discussion? Councilmember Bakken?
No comment. I'm all for it.
Okay. Councilmember Ball?
No, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Miller?
I just want to give Mr. Zierden credit for finding such a low and competitively priced bid that was nearly 50% less than what we budgeted for. So I'm extremely excited that the city was able to save some money.
Absolutely. Councilmember Maroney?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Abstentions? Motion carried. All right, well, that gets us to
Mr.
item
Mayor?
7
Mr. Mayor?
on the agenda.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor?
yes,
We do have one action
Yes.
item in front of us as well as an addition for discussion. And that is in regards to a goal that we set forth in our planning session, and that was to potentially hire a full-time planner, building official, or a combination. And as you can recall, the last meeting, we discussed it, and we said that the ultimate would be hiring that joint effort. And one of the things that we kind of developed with discussions was we do have our planner here today, or not here right now, but with us having a current planner, we wanted to enhance his hours, working 4 days a week from 7 to noon, so we can start judging what those action items would be for that potential new staff member. Is it planning related? Is it administration related? What does it look like? And so we're going to have Jerry, who is our planner today, document what he's working on, what the times are busy of the days, so we can further enhance what that position will look like and what that's going to entail. It's a 1-month trial that we'd like to start with. If we need to expand it, we can, but otherwise that was all that was discussed, is just doing it for the next 4 weeks. And his new hours would be posted and publicized that people can come in and ask questions during that time. And again, this is a trial and judge to see what kind of inquiries we're getting in for staff that would be for this. So I believe we'd ask for a motion to accept that we can do this trial and have those hours posted.
I would make that motion, Mr. Mayor, and reserve the
Absolutely.
right to comment just after we all take a poll here.
okay, so I have a motion from Councilmember Bakken to approve this change in hours for our city planner for the month of June to be reviewed at such time at the end of the month to see how things went. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second from Councilmember Ball. All right, so I'll open it up for discussion. I'll start with Councilmember Bakken.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's been on our wish list for a long time, and I appreciate Councilman Miller's attention to that. And also, I want to thank the Personnel Committee and the Administrator for their diligence in improving this situation. I'm going to give you a little facts and background here, and I would ask the Administrator to back me up on this. I feel that this is woefully inadequate for this city the way it's growing. 4 hours, 5 hours a week, that's woefully inadequate. I am willing to go through this test period, but I want everyone here to know I encourage, and Patrick and I have had discussions about this, and I believe there is an honest movement to hire a full-time planner. Discussions we've had right out of college, they're not expecting 100 grand a year, et cetera, et cetera. And they're schooled in the discipline, folks. Schooled, which is what we need. Last year, Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had 40 bills, am I right?
38, 40, yep.
Okay. This year, the little bird chipping on my shoulder says we're at 39. Now, I don't know that to be a fact, and I have to defer to, nope,
No, 20.
20.
20 confirmed, but
20 is good. So that's this year, 20. This is the third largest growing city in Crow Wing County. People are moving up here in droves. No, 1 minute. So I rest my case. This is woefully inadequate, and I'm confident that the administration will address this properly. I have a couple other items, if I may. I'll make it a little briefer, Mr. Mayor, if you'll honor that, after we take the vote.
Very brief, though.
Well, we're going
Very
to want to
brief.
vote on this motion?
Is it to do with the plan? Is this, is?
One of
are
them
your
was with the
comments to do
planner,
with
and
the
I've said my
planning?
piece, so I'm ready to vote. I have two other items.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Ball, do you have any discussion to add to this motion?
No, sir.
Councilmember Miller?
I think this is a fantastic first step, heading in the right direction.
Yep, agreed.
Okay. Councilmember Maroney?
Nothing further to add.
Okay. I would simply state as a part of the discussion that I think this is a good trial for us to do. While I know there's been a lot of talk about wanting to have a full-time planner, we have to be, I would believe, conservative in our approach. I understand that the city of Breezy Point is growing, and it's going to continue to grow. However, we have to look at these things from a lot of different angles to make sure that if we're going to go in that direction, that we as a city are able to afford it and can handle it, and that we can get somebody that's going to be able to do the job and not be there 6 months to a year and then leave on us and we're stuck trying to replace the position again. So I think we're moving in the right direction. This is a good first step. I think this is something that can be done and we can take another look at it. So I do applaud the Personnel Committee for again working on this with city staff to get something put together. All right, so hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, the motion carries. All right, now before we adjourn, Councilmember Bakken, I will allow you to go ahead and make a couple further comments, but please keep it brief.
Thank you. Directed at our newly elected police chief, I received 2 phone calls today, Mr. Mayor. One phone call asked me, after 6 p.m. in the evening, and this was back to the Memorial Day tough one that we had, who answers a call? Do our police answer that call, or is it the sheriff? I didn't know the answer.
Our office is not staffed.
Brian, do you have your microphone on? We haven't had that training yet, so.
Sorry, we got a rookie in the house here.
We weren't prepared for him to speak.
You can always just hold it too, but.
Okay. So we have an administrative assistant that is in the office Monday through Friday from 8 until 3:30 in the afternoon. When Karen is not in the office, the officers are in and out, whether they're on patrol or not. So there may be somebody in the office and there may not. So non-emergency calls where they can leave a voicemail for something that's not immediate can go to our office and the officers will check them periodically throughout the evening. If it's an emergency call, 911, and it goes to the Crow Wing County dispatchers, which have the ability to reach us on radio. They also create ICRs for us. They input information from the caller for us. We have a mapping system in our car, so it'll take us right to the location where the problem is. If it's a non-emergency, they can call the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office at 218-829-4749, and the same process is handled, just not quite as immediate.
Thanks for that overview. My question is, who answers a call after 6 p.m. in this city 7 days a week? Does one of our officers go to that call, be it an emergency, or does the Crow Wing County Sheriff after 6 o'clock?
Okay, my apologies, I thought you meant
No,
on the phone
no,
there.
that was the question I was asked. I don't know.
Our officers, we have an overnight officer, so there's certain days we have 24-hour coverage, and at certain times we do not. If we're on duty, we respond to all calls within Breezy Point. Unless we're tied up on another call, higher priority call, or an officer's in the jail. If our people are not available, then the Sheriff's Department responds to those calls.
That's a slow response coming from Brainerd on an emergency, and I appreciate your candid answer, and that's just another very good piece of evidence. We need another police officer.
Mr. Bakken, it's not from Brainerd, though. That's where the telephone is answered. The sheriffs are throughout the whole county.
Understand that,
Yep.
but the sheriffs are roaming. The Breezy Point police are here.
Yes.
Is my point.
I just wanted to clarify that. It's
That's
not
fine,
they're
I
saying they're
appreciate
coming
that.
from
That's all I have. The other
right.
thing, excuse me, another call from a citizen. Somebody is on Circle Drive, somebody is erecting a golf cart garage, is what the information the individual gave me. That call came just before the meeting. I know nothing about it, I haven't been up there, but let that go wherever it's
So
supposed to
council
be.
member,
Planner, I would guess, I don't know.
council.
That's a formal
Council
complaint
member
that I'm
Bakken.
forwarding. They didn't want to do it.
Okay. Council member Bakken, may I remind you that when you have complaints come forth like that, you should direct it through our staff, as you did with our police chief now.
Mr. Mayor, I
So we
did.
can have further discussions about this moving forward, okay?
Yes, we have,
That's
and
enough.
I
We'll be
did
done with the
just
comments
that.
for now.
They
Okay,
refused, and it's my duty as a citizen to bring that to this body and a council member.
so you did so?
So I
Duly
did.
noted.
It's on the
All
record.
right. Do we have any other further discussion for the council? Hearing none, I'm going to move to item 7 under adjourning meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a second? I had a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Any abstentions? Motion carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending.